Hello and welcome back to another Hartling Bros Golf video. In today's video I will be comparing the 1966 Sam Snead signature driver versus the 2020 Callaway Maverick driver. I will be comparing these drivers on FlightScope Mevo to compare their numbers to see how much drivers have changed in 55 years. Let's go. The 1966 Wilson Sam Snead signature driver has a small Persimmon head, and the face here is Persimmon. This driver actually doesn't have an insert with the screws that lots of older drivers have. As you can see, the head's very small. It's got this really nice finish on the Persimmon wood. Has a very long ferrule, and the interesting thing, this shaft is actually made out of aluminum, and aluminum shafts were supposed to be the next big thing after steel shafts because they were lighter than steel. But in the 60s they were discontinued after a few years because they were very brittle. They would break easy in cold weather, and the feel they provided was not very good. This driver is also 43.5 inches, which is much shorter than today's standards. The 2020 Callaway Maverick driver is made up of carbon fiber and steel and has a 460cc head, which is a lot bigger than the Persimmon driver. It also has an adjustable hosel, while the wooden driver has a fixed hosel that you can't adjust. This driver also has a graphite shaft that is 45.5 inches, which is 1.5 inches longer than the wooden driver. This Callaway flash face driver, the face was actually designed by artificial intelligence, and back when the Wilson Sam Snead driver was, they didn't even have artificial intelligence. So it's crazy how much the golf club technology has changed so that they're even using computers to design the clubs. At address you can see a massive difference in the head size of these two drivers. The Wilson Sam Snead driver head looks almost the same size as a golf ball, or not much bigger. It's crazy. And the faces, the hitting area you have is so much smaller on this driver than the much bigger Callaway Maverick. Here's my FlightScope Mevo data with the both drivers. I used a Wilson Duo golf ball for this test because it is a softer golf ball. If I used a golf ball that was too hard, it would break the wood driver. With the Callaway Maverick driver, I had 11 miles an hour more ball speed. My club speed was 15 miles an hour faster, so the longer shaft and the graphite shaft gave me more club speed. An interesting thing is that my smash factor was slightly higher with the wood driver, so it's hitting it more on the center of the face, getting more solid contact. I had carried it 25 yards shorter with the wood driver. My launch angle was slightly lower with the wooden driver. The spin rate was lower with the Callaway Maverick driver. The peak height was 20 feet higher with the Maverick driver, and the hang time was half a second longer with the Callaway Maverick driver. Alright, after testing these two drivers on FlightScope Mevo, I have found there's a pretty significant difference in performance. The Callaway Maverick driver carried 25 yards farther for me, which is a big difference. But this difference is actually much less than I expected. I thought over 55 years we'd see around 40 or 50 yards of changes, and the marketing by the companies and the commercials are almost sounding like you're supposed to have 5 yards more over last year's driver, but obviously that isn't the case. It's just fractions of difference each year, with over time results in a bigger difference. I also found that the forgiveness on the Maverick driver was much better. When I had a miss hit with the Maverick, I lost around 10 to 15 yards, but I did hit one bad shot on the heel with the wood driver, and it dropped off like 20-30 yards. I hit it around 200 yards carry, So the forgiveness in the bigger head, the bigger size, has definitely changed. The sound of the drivers made with metal and carbon fiber is much louder than the wooden drivers, but that's all down to preference, sound and feel, and look. I can't be sure which new technology has made the biggest improvement to the driver performance, because the shafts and the length and loft of the drivers are different. I will also in the future like to test these drivers and compare them on course so I could see difference in accuracy, get to see the ball flight, and be able to see the forgiveness and see how using older clubs will affect my score. I can see the data, 25 yards is quite significant, but what would that result in score? How many strokes of a difference would that make? I'd be really interested to find that out. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more Hartling Bros Golf videos. See you next time.